Hi there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. Today we'll be making project number 1 in my Freeze a Bird class kit. The Freeze a Bird class kit is available through July 7th, 2019 and is my gift to you with a $40 retail purchase at stampinup.com using the current host code on the screen. You can get more details on my website www.cutstampcreateclub.com. The Freeze a Bird class kit centers around the Freeze a Bird bundle, which includes the Freeze a Bird cling stamps and the stitched nested labels dies. You can save 10% when you purchase these two together as a bundle. But be sure to use that current host code so that you can earn the free class kit from me. Now in our class kit we have everything pre-cut except for the things that you'll be cutting with the dies that come with the bundle. I will give the dimensions as we go along. Now this is a shutter card and it has a little band that we'll make, and then it opens up to say your friendship means the world to me, and there's a pretty little bird inside. Now this might seem like a difficult card to make, but it really isn't. If you follow the instructions as we go along, it will be very simple, sort of like putting together a puzzle. So in my embellishments I have 2 small rhinestones and one of the faceted flower gems. I'm going to set those aside right now so they don't get lost. You will need a 4x6 piece of window sheet for your stamping, or something plastic that you can use. When you purchase your first class kit from me, you will receive a 4x6 window sheet in your packet. So hang on to that and you'll be able to reuse it with each class kit. So I like to start with the getting this card base ready. So we have an 8.5 by 5.5 thick whisper white. We'll get our scoring board out. We're going to score this a little differently because it is a shutter card. We're going to score at 2 1/8, and it'll be landscape this direction, and then on the other side 2 1/8 again, just like that. We'll bring in our bone folder and we're going to fold our ends together inside, and then we're going to crease that fold so that we have a nice card base to work with. And your front should meet but not catch on each other. Okay, so our card base is ready. Now we're going to do some stamping. So you'll want to get your Stamparatus or your whatever stamping device you're using. So I have my Stamparatus and I'm going to put just a random stamp pad underneath there to keep that level. So the first thing we're going to stamp is this row of little birds right here. So we'll go ahead and get that stamp out. We'll be stamping on our whisper white pieces, and the piece that we're going to stamp our birds on is the larger piece, 5.5 by 3 1/4. We're just going to set this here. We'll be die cutting this, so we don't have to get this perfectly placed. We're just going to set it in the center, kind of even on both sides, the top and bottom. And we're going to stamp that with Memento Tuxedo Black. And I like to kind of gently rub it when there's fine detail so that I get all that detail from the stamp. Now I'm going to color this so I don't actually have to have it too dark. I might just do it lightly one more time. Okay, that's good. So that's ready to color. We'll set that aside and clean off our stamp. So now we're ready to do our bird for the center that goes in the circle in the center. And that's this one solid bird here, this one right here. We're going to stamp that image on a 3 by 3 1/4. So 3 1/4 wide, 3 inches tall. And we're going to just put that in place. And this we just want to kind of center. Just want to put that in the center and stamp that with the Memento Tuxedo Black. Again, I'm going to just kind of rub to get that detail in the wings, especially. Press it down. Okay, maybe just one more time, especially down here by the little feet. Get a little bit darker image there. That's good. Okay, now that's ready to color. I'll clean that stamp off. And next we're going to stamp Your Friendship Means the World to Me, but you could choose any one of these that fit. I don't think this one, We're the Best Friends, would fit, but I think any of these others might fit. Maybe not The World Needs More of You. I'm not sure, but you could check and see. But we're going to do Your Friendship Means the World to Me. We're going to stamp that on the 3x2 piece of Whisper White. So we'll get that stamp. And this one's going to be die cut too, so we're just going to make sure I've got it in the right direction and stamp it in the center. Let me put that down with my magnets. I'm just going to stamp that in the center. This I'm going to stamp with our Pool Party ink, but if you wanted to stamp it with the Memento Black ink, you could do that as well. Bit lighter ink, so sometimes you have to use a little bit more of it. Do it more times. All right, I'm going to clean that stamp off. Now we're almost done with our stamping, but not perfectly because we still need to do the hello. And I have found that it's easier to do that once you have die cut it. And that's where our plastic, 4x6 plastic comes in. So we'll go ahead and we're going to go ahead, set this aside for a moment, and we're going to die cut this image with the second largest stitched nested die. So that this is the largest, this is the second largest. So we're going to go ahead and set that, line this up so that we have plenty of room for the hello down here, but so that we fit everything in there. And once I'm happy with it, I'm going to tape it down. I'm using the Scotch removable magic tape, but as long as you tape on the outside, you should be fine. So we're going to go ahead and run this through our die cutting machine. So now that I've die cut this, I will know where I need to put my hello, because if I did my hello before, it might not be level with the edge of the die cut. But this way, if I do it with this way, then I'll be able to line it up perfectly. So I'm going to bring in that 4x6 piece of plastic, and I'm going to put it down here near the bottom. Just going to line the edge up with the line here. Have it flush up against the side here. And then I'm going to get my hello stamp. So here's my hello stamp. It's just a little stamp here. I'm going to stamp it kind of here. I just want to make sure that I have room to slide this underneath and line it up. So make sure it's also saying hello. It's not backwards. Going to stamp that with Memento Tuxedo Black. Just going to lightly tap it, because something, when you have a small stamp like that, it's easy to over ink it, and then it looks kind of blotchy. Now I have my hello, and I'll be able to line it up so that it's level. The hello is level with the edge of the bottom. But I also want to leave room for this little embellishment here. So kind of right about there is good. I might bring it down a little bit, and wherever you think it's good. And if you want to make sure, you can always bring your little embellishment in and make sure that it is going to have room. So once you have that placed, you're going to remove the plastic and set that aside. I'll go ahead and put these, don't want to get those two magnets too close together. Lightly ink up my little stamp, don't want to overdo, and then do my hello. And there I go. Alright, so now it's perfect, it's level, and I don't have to worry about having to redo it. So I'll clean off this stamp and then we'll get ready to do our coloring. And be sure to wipe off your plastic as well so it doesn't get ink on anything. So these are the images that we're going to be coloring, and like I said, I'll have a list of all of these supplies, so you'll have a list of all of these colors that I'm using on my club page, www.cutstampcreateclub.com. Just search Free as a Bird. So I wanted to do these birds in two colors, a Pool Party and Petal Pink. And so I've used light Pool Party to kind of outline the birds around the edges. I'm actually going to do that twice. Doing it a second time, I get a little bit deeper color. Now I'm going to take my dark Petal Pink, and I'm going to use my bullet tip for this, and I'm going to just kind of here in their bellies put a darker color, kind of where there might be shadows. And then I'm going to come in with my Petal Pink, my light Petal Pink, and I'm going to do a little blending, but first I'm just going to color the parts with my brush tip, the parts that aren't colored yet. I'm not going to do any blending yet. I'm just going to color in the white part that's left. Okay, so now I'm going to take my bullet tip and I'm going to make tiny little circles all around the line where the Petal Pink and the Pool Party meet. So I'm just kind of blending those in so I don't have a stark line there. And I'm doing the edge. I don't want to get too much into the blue because I want the blue to remain blue. So tiny little circles, and then when I feel like I've blended it well enough, and it'll look different once it's dried, I'll fill in again one more time where the white was. And I'm going to do that with each of the birds. So I'm done with those birds. Now I'm going to do the same with this bird, and that's for the inside here. I did put a little bit of blue on his wing, or her wing. So I get my light Pool Party brush tip. I'm going to go around, do some of that wing right there, and tail, and the tummy here, and just a little bit of the head. I'm going to go twice to just make sure that it's nice and deep color. Bring in the dark Petal Pink with my bullet tip. I'm going to put some shadow underneath there, some shadow under the head. And then I'm going to bring in the light Petal Pink and again the bullet tip, and I'm going to do the same thing, tiny little circles along the edge of the blue to blend. And then I'll color in the center here. There, I think that's good. Now their little beaks are going to be dark Daffodil Delight. I'll use my brush tip for that, and I'll be really careful to just lightly touch their beak here. Alrighty, so this little bird is done. Now we're going to do the branch. The branch is going to be in dark, soft suede. Use the brush tip. Alright, so I'm done with the dark soft suede, and I'm going to take bronze, and I'm going to take the bullet tip, and I'm just going to make some random marks, skipping along here, just to add some dimension and variation to the brown in the branch, so that it doesn't look so plain and it looks more realistic. Now for the leaves, I'm going to use light and dark mossy meadow, but you could use just the light or dark, whatever you have. I'm going to use the bullet tip, and I'm going to go in the center of each leaf, that center vein. I'm marking it with dark mossy meadow. And now I'm going to come in with my brush tip with my light mossy meadow and fill in and kind of just blend just a little, not a lot. Okay, I think that is good. I do see where I did miss this bird's tail and this wing. Okay, and then while I have my light pool party out, I'm going to just do the center of these flowers. That's going to be, I'm going to leave some of it white because it matches the paper then. And just do the center of each flower. So our coloring is finished. Now we'll go to do our die cutting. So for our die cutting, we won't be cutting this, but we will be putting a little dotted lines around the bottom, the edges. We will be cutting this pool party and these two pieces of pool party here. And I believe that's it for the die cutting. Okay, so what we have here is we have two pieces of pool party cardstock, 5.5 by 3.25. Those two are going to be die cut with the largest nested labels die. This is the largest. So we're going to cut 1 and 2. So those will be cut, and then this piece of pool party, 3.5 by 2, we're going to cut that with the 4th smallest. So we have the smallest, the 2nd smallest, the 3rd smallest, and the 4th smallest. So basically count up 4 from the bottom. Then we do have our Your Friendship Means the World to Me. We're going to cut that with the 3rd smallest. So we've got 1, 2, 3. That's going to be cut with that. So I'm going to line this one up so that it's in the center. And it looks level and it looks good. So that's ready to die cut. This one just doesn't really need to be taped, neither do these two. So we'll cut these two largest ones with the largest stitched label die, this piece of pool party with the 4th smallest, and this with the 3rd smallest. Okay, so we have those. This is actually going to go in front of this one like that. And we have our 2 cut from the largest. So we're finished with this die. The next thing we're going to do is to make this part right here. So we have to cut, this basically is going to end up being here, but we don't want our point going out, we want our point going in. So what we need to do is on the side here, just kind of line that up evenly on the sides so that you have even distances here, and you have like a little diamond shaped there. You're going to tape that in place on the inside with just washi tape or whatever tape you have. Make sure that this is inside these solid lines. This is ready to die cut. So this is what you have after you've die cut it. And so we're ready to do the other one. Same thing. Going to line it up, and when you do line it up, you want it to have like as straight as possible here and here, and even distances on the side. There's my little diamond, and tape this in place. Secure it well too, and make sure that it's in between these 2 solid lines. This one's ready to go through the big shot. So now we have this one, and you can see that this is going to make the part that opens and closes. And we'll be trimming this side after we've put some of our card together. So the next thing is optional. If on the band you want to have like a beaded edge like this, you would want to use this die right here, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that. So I had to bend this to get it in the package for you. So it's already, one side is already bent for you. So this is going to be your outside here, and that's the side that you'll want to put your die on, the opposite side from the bend. So, and this piece is 3/4 of an inch wide by 11 inches long. So what you want to do is put this even with the edge of your cardstock, right on the edge. And I'm going to again use that removable magic tape. You could maybe use washi tape. What you don't want to do is have something that is going to tear your cardstock when you remove it. So basically I'm going to run this through my big shot like this, and you can see why it's important to use something that isn't going to tear your cardstock, because you're going to move it up. Now I can probably reuse this, so this time I'm just going to move it down. I'm really not going to worry about where my dots are. I just want to make sure that it meets, that it doesn't, and you can kind of slide it around and get a feel for it. But the important thing is that you overlap so that you don't have a gap where the band, the bead begins and ends. Just make sure you get it right on that edge. And it's important to tape it down well too, because it will slide. I had it slide on me, and it's no fun because you have to start all over. So making sure I have it right up against the edge there, and I'm ready to run that through again. So I'm just going to repeat this until I have done both sides. Okay, so we're done with this. Now if this is too much trouble for you, or if it doesn't matter that much to you whether you have your band beaded or not, then you could skip that part. So we are done with our die cutting, and we're ready to start building our card. So here's our card base. I'm going to go ahead and put the front DSP on the front here, and just make sure that your branches are all going up. And I'm going to put these on with some Tombow liquid glue. And the reason I'm using the Tombow liquid glue is because I can move it around a little bit and get it placed perfectly before it dries. Okay, and I'll do the other side. Oh, by the way, these are 2 inches by 5 3/8. So now I have that. Next, I'm going to do the inside panels. These are 2 by 5 3/8 as well, and I'm just going to put those on each side there with my glue. And this is Petal Pink cardstock, by the way. Forgot to tell you that. I gave you the dimensions, but I didn't tell you what color it was, but it's Petal Pink. Okay, to do the inside, we're going to need these 2 panels, which is Petal Pink, 2 7/8 by 5 3/8, and Pool Party, which is 3 by 5 1/2. And so this one is going to layer on top, and then it's going to go in the center. So we're going to put these together. Now, just to let you know what these are, I cut these with the 3rd largest circle die. So this is the 3rd largest circle die. I placed them. Now, if you're doing this at home or you're doing another one, you could go ahead and glue these 2 pieces together with even spacing around the edge and then cut it. But you'll want to cut your 3rd largest circle, the top of the die, 3/4 of an inch from the top of the Pool Party. So that's what you would want to do if you want to make more. Put a thin line along the sides here. You don't want it to put too much, it'll ooze out. And I find it's easier if you match up your circles first and then move the cardstock around till you get a nice even edge all around. Now we're going to put this on with the regular size dimensionals. It's going to go in the center, but don't take the tabs off quite yet. Just let's put some dimensionals on. We'll put about 4 along the bottom. Okay, so I had a little break in the video. I put 8 dimensionals down at the bottom and 4 up at the top. Now this is going to go here. I'm going to go ahead and put it in place, but I'm not going to take the backing off of these dimensionals. I'm just going to take the backing off of the ones at the bottom. Now I'm going to center this here in the middle. I'll start kind of at the bottom, and I just want even distances on both sides. Okay, that looks good. Now, like I said, I haven't put this down, and I did that for a reason. Now you'll need to get a pencil for this. So this is going to be the mechanism that goes underneath here. Now normally when you do a shutter card, they go like this, but this one we're going to kind of do this. So you'll put them together like that, and then you'll turn it so that it's more like this and not like this. So this goes under this one goes over that one, so under and over, just like that. Now what you need your pencil for, once you meet those together and they are even on the ends, you're going to slide that underneath and put it in the center. The The opening goes in the center of the circle, like so. Now you're also going to want to make sure that these ends are the same distances from the top. So you might need to get a measuring tool, like a ruler, and then just measure that distance if you want to get it exact. So I'll get that in the center here. Try to get it so none of the stitching is showing at the top or the bottom. So center it in the center there, and then you're going to measure from the sides. It's a little tricky, but not impossible. Okay, so let me measure. That's about 3/4 and 3/4. I'll bring this down a little bit. That looks good there. So I'm going to go ahead and mark here on the crease. And that's going to tell me where I need to trim. So I'll get my scissors and I'll trim that. So I'll go ahead and pull that out and trim from that mark to that mark, straight as possible. And I'll trim from this mark to that mark, as straight as possible. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these together. Now another way to make sure that they are perfect is to go ahead and match them up. And it looks like this one on the bottom is a little bit longer, so I'm going to cut that. Now they kind of match up perfectly. So now I'm going to slide this under. This is why we didn't put the top down. The next thing we want to do is to make sure that when this is closed, that there isn't anything interfering with the closing of the card. You may need to trim it a little more if there is. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our scoring tool. So we have our scoring tool, and we're going to score 1/2 inch from the edge of both of these with it facing up. So we have 1/2 inch on both of those. And then we're just going to take our bone folder, fold this away from us, and crease that fold. So we're going to bring in our card. Now we have this with the fold is going to actually be like this. So your fold is going to go down. Put that in place. Bring this one with the fold down. And again, remember, this is the way we have that is over and under, over and under. So it's just kind of like that. So we're going to set that underneath and get it in the center again. Make sure these are level as possible, and then when we feel comfortable with that they're level and even, they may not be completely even here on the side. That's fine as long as you can close these and it doesn't pucker in the middle. And then you can also check by making sure that your diagonal is kind of the same on both sides. So when you're happy with it, you're going to take your snail and you're going to put a strip of snail here on this side of the fold. Fold it down. Don't open it up yet. Bring it around. Put some snail on the other flap on the other side of the fold and push this down. Make sure you get a good, it adheres really good, and then you should be getting this. Now once we, it'll work better once we tack this down, but for right now, that's how it should work. Remember to keep this down, this over, under, okay? Now, we know that when it opens up, this is what's going to be revealed. So now we can put our bird in. We're going to slide this down. And I purposely made the paper that you put your bird on, the cardstock, bigger because I knew you'd have to move it around and figure out where the best placement is. Now, some of the tail is going to be hidden, and that's all right. So when you're happy with it, you're going to get your pencil out again. You'll probably have some of the white sticking out over here. Just going to measure that. Pull this out, and you're just going to cut off enough to hide that paper so it doesn't stick out. Maybe just a 1/16 of an inch on the other side of the line that you drew. So we'll see how that works right now. Slide that back in there, and that looks good. So now we're ready to put that in place, and we're going to do that by putting some glue here in our little circle area, kind of like that, just enough to hold it in place. Don't need to get too crazy with it. When you're sliding it, lift this up slightly so that you don't get it in the glue. And then you can move it around as you need to till you're happy with it, but you won't have a lot of time, so make sure you work quickly. And that looks good to me. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to press it down and make sure that this is under and that is over. This is over, that's under. Sorry. I guess it doesn't matter as long as they're opposite. One side is over, one side is under. So now we're going to take the backings off. Be careful not to bend your card. And you're just going to, and now you have your card. So all we have to do now is make the band and put our little sentiment in place. So our sentiment, I'm going to put that on with glue. Okay, now we're ready to do the front, the band and the birds. So we'll bring in our band. Now you'll see it already has a fold in it here. And so that's going to go around our card. We want to have a little bit of play in our band. We don't want to have it so that it's so tight that it doesn't slide. And I'm going to use glue to, I'm just going to mark this here so I know where to stop putting my glue. I'm going to put my glue here from the end to my mark. And since I'm using glue, that gives me a little time to make sure that it has enough play but not too much. So I'm going to check it, and it does have some play but not too much, so that's good. And when you think that's dried enough, you can go ahead. We're going to just glue this to the top. I'll put start about a 1/2 inch from the edge. We make a line across to the about a 1/2 inch from the other edge, and another line, and then another line. And we'll just put this right on top. I make sure the points are in the center of the band. That helps with my placement. Now we just have a couple more things to do. We're going to bring in our 2 small rhinestones, and let's see, one of them goes, get my piercing tool, one of them goes kind of here between the bird and the flower, right there. One goes up here between that flower and that leaf. And then our faceted floral gem here is going to go down here next to our hello, right here. Now if you want to make it a little more snazzy, you can put some Wink of Stella on the birds. So that's what I did. I put some Wink of Stella on the birds. Okay, so our card is finished. This is project number 1 in my Free as a Bird class kit. Be sure to check out my website, www.cutstampcreateclub.com, to see what current class kits I'm offering. Thanks for watching. Bye now.